Let's talk about the opioid crisis, a public health disaster that's touched nearly every corner of America, leaving families, communities, and entire states reeling from its impact. For decades, the opioid epidemic has been a slow-moving catastrophe, quietly devastating lives and overwhelming healthcare systems. And now, the $7.4 billion bill that just came due for Purdue Pharma and the Sackler family is making headlines everywhere. This isn't just a number, it's the result of years of legal battles, public outrage, and relentless advocacy from those demanding accountability. For years, Purdue pushed OxyContin as safe, aggressively marketing it to doctors and patients while downplaying its addictive power. They claimed it was a miracle painkiller, but the reality was far more dangerous. Spoiler, it wasn't safe, and the consequences were catastrophic. The result? A nationwide disaster of addiction and loss. Families torn apart, children orphaned, and communities left to pick up the pieces. The opioid crisis has claimed hundreds of thousands of lives, leaving behind a trail of grief and unanswered questions. After years of lawsuits, investigations, and mounting evidence, a massive settlement has finally been reached. This is the culmination of tireless work by attorneys, activists, and families who refused to let the story fade away. This wasn't just one state suing. It was a coordinated, nationwide effort. 56 states and territories teamed up Avengers style to take on Purdue and the Sacklers. This unprecedented coalition showed just how widespread and serious the crisis had become, and how determined leaders were to seek justice. Indiana's Attorney General, Todd Rokita, fought to ensure the state got its share of the settlement. For Indiana, like so many other states, the opioid crisis has been personal, impacting small towns, big cities, and rural communities alike. The goal was clear: make those responsible pay to help fix the crisis they fueled. It's about more than just money. It's about justice, healing, and making sure this never happens again. Purdue Pharma will be restructured, changing the way it operates and ensuring that profits are redirected toward helping those harmed by its products. And the Sacklers are paying up, big time. For years, the family profited while communities suffered. Now they're being held financially accountable, though many argue it's only a fraction of what's truly owed. The $7.4 billion isn't just a headline. It's a lifeline for treatment, prevention, and recovery programs. This money will fund addiction treatment centers, support groups, and educational campaigns to prevent future tragedies. But let's be real, no amount of money can bring back lost lives or heal every wound. The pain and loss are permanent for so many families, and the scars left behind will last for generations. What it can do is fund the programs that have been underfunded for years. It can provide hope to those still struggling and resources to communities desperate for help. For states like Indiana, this is a crucial chance to fight back against a crisis that's still ongoing. The settlement means more resources for prevention, more beds in rehab centers, and more support for families in need. It's not a happy ending, but it's a step toward accountability. It's a signal that powerful companies and wealthy families can't escape responsibility forever. The money will go directly to communities devastated by opioids, helping to rebuild lives and restore hope where it's needed most. It's a new chapter, one with hope, not closure. The fight isn't over, but there's finally a sense that change is possible. The opioid crisis isn't over, but this settlement is a turning point. It's a moment when the tide might finally start to turn, and when communities can begin to heal. Sometimes justice is just a little less miserable than what came before. But for many, this is the first real step toward healing, accountability, and maybe, just maybe, a future free from the shadow of opioids. How do 56 states and territories, all with their own agendas, unite? The opioid crisis made it possible. Attorneys general from across the country realized they were stronger together. Red states, blue states, it didn't matter. The crisis hit everyone. They pooled resources, shared evidence, and coordinated legal strategies. This wasn't a simple lawsuit. It was a years-long, all-hands-on-deck battle. The coalition's size forced Purdue and the Sacklers to the table. States held out for more money, refusing to settle for less. Their unity set a precedent for future cases against other opioid companies. It proved that when states work together, they can hold even the most powerful corporations accountable. One state alone is a snack. 56 together are a force. The message? You can't outrun everyone. The Sackler family, once known for philanthropy, now infamous for fueling a public health disaster. Their fortune came from OxyContin, and they weren't just passive investors. Key Sacklers like Richard drove Purdue's aggressive, misleading marketing. They pushed higher doses, targeted doctors, and downplayed addiction risks. The result? $35 billion in revenue, unimaginable luxury for the Sacklers, and devastation for communities. Even as addiction and overdose rates soared, they doubled down, at one point, eyeing the addiction treatment market. Public outrage followed. Activists pressured museums to drop the Sackler name, and many did. Their legacy is now forever linked to the opioid crisis, not art or science. The Sacklers wanted to be remembered as benefactors. Instead, they're remembered as architects of a tragedy. Their name is off the museum walls, but not off the public's mind. That's the legacy they bought. Purdue Pharma wasn't always a villain, but in 1996, OxyContin changed everything. Purdue claimed its time-release formula made OxyContin less addictive, a promise that proved dangerously false. They launched a massive marketing blitz, targeting doctors with misleading data and lavish perks. The message OxyContin was safe for everyday pain, not just severe cases. Sales soared, and so did addiction rates. Patients found the drug wore off early, leading to withdrawal and cravings. Crushing the pills defeated the time release, making abuse easy. Purdue knew but kept pushing the drug. Their campaign transformed pain management and fueled a national crisis. OxyContin became a blockbuster, but the cost was catastrophic. Now the empire they built is paying the price. What does $7.4 billion really mean? It's a number so big, it's hard to picture. But behind that figure is a story of accountability, restitution, and hope for communities devastated by the opioid crisis. It's not just a check from the Sacklers. It's a historic payment, representing years of legal battles and public outrage over the role Purdue Pharma played in fueling addiction. The family will pay at least $5.5 billion in cash, possibly up to $6 billion. This is real money, not just numbers on a page, funds that will be distributed over several years to help repair the damage done. That's the largest personal payout in U.S. legal history. It sets a precedent for holding powerful individuals and corporations responsible for public health disasters. Purdue Pharma itself will be restructured into a public benefit company, run by a board chosen by the states. This means the company's future profits will be directed toward helping, not harming, communities. This new company will focus on making overdose reversal drugs and addiction treatments. Instead of profits going to private owners, every dollar earned will go toward fighting the opioid crisis and supporting recovery efforts. The rest of the settlement's value, about $1.90 billion, depends on how well this new company does. If it succeeds, even more money will flow to states and communities in need. States get immediate cash for programs like addiction treatment, prevention, and education, plus a stake in future profits. This means help arrives now and continues for years to come. It's a complex, high-stakes solution for a complex problem. The legal process was long and difficult, but the outcome aims to balance justice, healing, and prevention. The money is a mix of guaranteed cash and projected value, combining immediate relief with long-term investment in public health. For Indiana and other states, it's both immediate help for families and a long-term investment in healthier, safer communities. The goal: turn the engine of crisis into a tool for recovery. With this settlement, there's hope that what once caused so much harm can now be used to build a better future. The Sacklers are out, permanently. They'll have no control or ownership in the new company. This is both symbolic and practical. The family that profited from opioids is gone for good. The new company will be run with a public health mission, not a profit motive. The Sackler name is banned from any future company branding. But there's a catch. In exchange for their billions, the Sacklers get broad legal immunity from future civil lawsuits. No individual victims or states can sue them again for opioid-related harm. This liability shield was the most controversial part of the deal. The Sacklers admit no wrongdoing and avoid court. For many, that's a bitter pill to swallow. Justice, in this case, comes with strings attached. Where does the money go? The settlement is clear. Every dollar must fight the opioid crisis. No potholes, no stadiums, just prevention, treatment, and recovery. Indiana's share goes into a dedicated fund for opioid abatement. The money will expand access to treatment, including medication-assisted care. It'll fund counseling, recovery support, and peer coaching. Prevention efforts get a boost: public awareness, school programs, and prescription monitoring. Naloxone will be distributed to save lives from overdose. Harm reduction programs like syringe exchanges will get support. Recovery housing and job training for people in recovery are also priorities. The goal, a comprehensive, long-term response to a crisis that won't disappear overnight. Is this justice? It depends who you ask. For states, it's a pragmatic win, billions for urgent needs now. For families who lost loved ones, it feels like injustice, because the Sacklers get legal immunity. No Sackler will face a civil trial or criminal charges. The distinction between corporate and personal accountability frustrates many. The deal reinforces the idea that the wealthy can buy their way out of consequences. The settlement is a compromise, money for help, but no personal reckoning. It's financial accountability, not moral or legal. For many, that will never be enough. So where does this leave us? After years of legal battles, public outcry, and countless lives changed forever, we find ourselves at a crossroads. The story isn't over, but a new chapter is beginning. The Purdue settlement is historic, but it's not the end. It's a milestone in a much larger journey. A journey that's been marked by pain, loss, and the relentless pursuit of justice. 56 states and territories came together, forcing a corporate giant to pay up. This unity sent a powerful message. No one is above accountability, no matter how influential. $7.4 billion will now flow into treatment, prevention, and recovery programs, offering real help for real people who have struggled for far too long. These funds mean new clinics, more counselors, and expanded support for those fighting addiction. For communities like Indiana, it means more resources, more hope, and a chance to rebuild what's been lost. It's a lifeline for families and neighborhoods hit hardest by the crisis. But this isn't a magic fix. The wounds run deep, and the scars of addiction and loss won't disappear overnight. The damage runs deep, and will take years, maybe generations, to truly heal. For many, the pain is still fresh, and the journey to recovery is just beginning. The deal also raises tough questions about justice and accountability. Can money ever truly compensate for lives lost and families broken? The Sacklers paid billions but avoided personal liability. Many wonder if true justice was served, or if the powerful can always find a way out. It's a stark reminder that wealth can shield the powerful even in the face of overwhelming evidence and public anger. Still, the settlement is a necessary step forward. It's not perfect, but it's progress. A sign that change is possible when people demand it. It's proof that collective action can make a difference, and that communities can come together to demand accountability and support. The road to recovery is long, winding, and uncertain, but this is a start. Every journey begins with a single step, and this settlement is that step for so many. It's a down payment on a debt that can never be fully repaid, a gesture toward healing, even if it can't erase the past. And right now, a start is what we need most, because hope, no matter how small, is the first step on a very, very long road to recovery.